on to the lead questions for Ms. Capoletta. How would you encourage public transportation availability, usage, and reliability in San Marcos?
That's a very good question. Whoops. That's a very good question. Something I've been talking about in terms of smart growth is when we have a smart growth pyramid perspective towards economic development, we don't leave out members of our community. As I've watched from a student who was an actively involved student over 20 years, the past 20 years, I've watched our South Side change. I've watched buildings come and go that were once buildings, and now we have a Justice Center, and now we're moving that again. I've seen the medical industry move up and down throughout the city as well as the law industry. So I think it's important when we have a smart growth perspective towards economic development that we're not reliant upon means of transportation. We can have the center of our economic commerce in the downtown, which affords our students the opportunity to have entertainment as well as meet vital necessities, and it also allows those of us who live on the south side as well as downtown to have access to those services and not be reliable. There are a lot of different ways that we can do this. We've talked about pedestrian-friendly cities, we've talked about bike-friendly cities, and I think that's something that you'll find with me as an innovative planner, not just someone who will say yes, but someone who will take as a public policy researcher who's trained some of the greatest minds who are litigators as well as public policy researchers. As an academician, I have published and I've talked about ways that we can look at things from a holistic perspective, and that's something you can count on from me. Not just a rubber stamp for the council or supporting large development of outside corporations, but protecting the interests of the downtown small business owner. And for that, I would ask you to consider me as your candidate that will support the way San Marcos should look. Something that attracts tourists, attracts students, attracts new veterans who have a GI Bill coming to Texas State, because we're one of the finest military schools in the nation, and we've been touted as that. So that would be my answer in terms of what we can do for transportation, have a holistic vision for how we look at these issues in economic development, transportation, as well as housing issues. Mr. Michael?
I feel that our public transportation system also falls under public safety. In my campaigning, I've run across a lot of retired elderly individuals who've given up their right to drive. And some of their main complaints and concerns is San Marcos is not a very walkable, friendly city. When they go to the store to get the prescriptions, to go buy things that they won't need, or just go for a walk, that they come into a detriment of either our sidewalks are in poor shape, and if they have walkers or those the electric carts, that it's not really easy for them to travel around. It's not easy for them to walk and cross the streets safely. So part of my public safety issue is for increasing our crosswalks, our crossing lights, getting better sidewalks, and finally repairing the sidewalks that aren't just going to fall apart again next year or two. And then providing bike lanes for people who want to ride bicycles along our nice wide roads that we have many of. Our bus system, we need to increase our bus stops, have a better public transportation system when it comes to busing. I think everybody in this room is kind of familiar with when you're traveling down Operating Springs or other roads here in San Marcos, the horde of some of the college students that are getting off the bus and just crossing the street 10, 20, 30 at a time. And sometimes they don't care if you're coming or not. They just step out in front of you. And I think if we have some crosswalks that may prevent that, be safer for them, safer for us, and also show the college students here in San Marcos that we do care about their safety. We do care about them being able to walk our city and our streets safely and not have to cross 4 lanes of traffic just to get home from school. And that's not just the college students, that's the elderly, that's anybody who's walking in our community. So it's a real public safety issue, and I'm glad that question was asked. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas.
I remember in the probably mid-late 80s, we brought the trolley cars to town. And years later, probably about 12, 15 years later, that became a debate question of what can we do to get rid of them because no one was riding them and they cost a fortune. It actually looked like, if you looked at the budget and what we were spending on them, that it would have been cheaper to buy all those individuals' cars. So we may not be able to get people on the trolley car system, but we can get people downtown in a more walking-friendly environment. In the past, probably 4 or 5 years, there has been more residential move downtown. In the past 3 years on planning and zoning, I've supported couple of projects that I can think of off the top of my head that put more residential downtown that allow either students or professionals to walk to and from businesses on the square and to and from the university. And that's a major planning movement throughout the nation, is to have these mixed-use developments downtown where you have condos, you have some lofts, and the more of that we can promote, the more walker-friendly it will be, but we've got to have the sidewalks to get them on. In the conversation with President Trouth, she made the very simple and intelligent comment of, paint doesn't protect anyone, and a painted bike lane isn't going to protect safety of anybody. So we do need to get some separation there to where when we have this development go on and when these opportunities come in, then people can walk safely.
30 seconds for rebuttal.
Oh, sure. Well, I have been very active when it comes to public safety. We procured 3 children at play signs. Last year when I was out campaigning, I said, you know, I'm not the candidate that just goes block walking once a year and you never see me. They saw me last year, and the residents of Victory Gardens said, you know what, everybody, this is unsafe for children as well as the elderly, so you know what, we got 3 children at play signs and we're working with TxDOT. We have citizens who've been seriously injured because of the disarray of our streets. I have experience in working with the city directly, as well as listening to the needs of our residents, and for that reason, I'm the most experienced candidate when it comes to this issue.